Hey, Selah.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, all.
Hi, everyone. Say hi, Selah. Say
Hi. If anyone is out there, you can write a comment to let us know that you're tuning in. It is 7:30, so we are starting promptly and starting on time. Hey, Johnson. I see that you're on here because you liked our status. I'm glad that you decided to join us. Thank you for your support.
All right, so we are definitely want to start on time, and we know how things can be. As you can see, baby is here joining us as well. So I'm Linnea Richardson, and I just wanted to introduce myself.
And I am Rakisha Metzger, for y'all, those of you who don't know me. Again, Rakisha Metzger.
And we are sisters, if you didn't know. So this meet and greet is just a way for you all to get to know a little bit more about us and kind of Selah, Mind, Body, Spirit, and what we stand for, you know, how we started, why we started, and we may share a little bit more about ourselves and kind of what we do and how we came together for Selah. So just to give you a little bit of background, I'm the founder, I guess is a good way to say that.
And I am a partner. I'm going to try to turn this towards Selah just a little bit because she is here with us. So
she was the inspiration. If you didn't have a chance, I should say, to read our introduction, Selah was birthed following the birth of my daughter, Selah. You guessed it, right? So I was inspired to name her Selah because I wanted her name to have a meaning that she could embody. So Selah is a word or a term that was used in the Bible, an Arabic term that means to pause and reflect or stop and think. And so I wanted her to have a name, again, that she could embody. So my hope is that when she's growing up, or as she grows up, that she will be a thoughtful person, a mindful person, someone who makes wise decisions because of her ability to stop and think, or pause and reflect before acting. And so my hope is that she knows who she is. I hope that she can be self-reflective, self-confident, and self-assured in this big world that won't always make it easy for someone who looks like her. And so my hope is if you all, as you join us at Selah, that you will find your own meaning through Selah, and we want to be a part of that journey. And so we focus specifically on addressing women's issues related to pregnancy, postnatal experiences, postpartum challenges, as well as fertility and reproductive issues, and mental wellness. So I am reading some of our information off of our website. So if you're interested in learning more, you can go to www.Selah, M as in man, and B as in boy.com.
Which also just stands for Selah, Mind, Body.
Yes.
And then wellness is added on that. But again, the Selah MB, the M standing for mind and B standing for body.
Yes. So now that we have the formalities out of the way, again, reading and giving you the specific information about what we stand for and kind of how it came together, this just after having Selah, that she is my first child, and after having her, I think it just, everything that I had been thinking about in terms of what I wanted my future to look like as far as work and working with women and other things that I had already been doing, it just kind of seemed like it came together. So before I say all of that, I haven't really introduced myself as far as what I do. So I just completed my PhD in counseling psychology from Howard University. Hey, Howard. And I have been out of school for almost 2 years, a year and a half, but I was finishing my dissertation. And so I was pregnant when I finished my dissertation and when I walked. And so throughout my dissertation work, I did a lot of work on looking at women's issues, specifically related to mental health. And so this kind of combines the ideas that I have related to working with women, specifically Black women and other women of color who have challenges related to kind of their social experiences. So dealing with things like racism, sexism, and other biases and things that come along with that. So this is kind of a continuation of that research, and the work that I did, but it's more specific to, again, women who are mothers or want to be mothers, and women who may be having challenges as it relates to that.
And I am a mother as well. I have 2 sons, Zion, who is 4, and Jordan, who is 1. He'll be 2 next month in January. So I did just have a baby last year, but so not just have a baby. But again, being a 2-time mom is a lot different than just having 1 child. So much so that I actually resigned from my job with the state. We're here in Maryland, but I resigned from my job with the state to be home with my 2 children and trying to figure it all out, trying to make it work for my family, with my kids getting to know me getting to know them. It was totally different with my first child. I actually had him and went back to work after he was 2 months old. And so that's one goal that I've had, is just to be able to have the freedom and flexibility to do what it is that I would like to do. So I am an artist. I'm also a trained artist. I have a master's in community art. So a lot of my community artwork deals with self-reflection and also just like self-love, knowing who you are, appreciating where you come from, realizing that you have great attributes, and again, just being able to expose people to that through the arts. And that could be through any form, any way you can use it to understand your background.
So we kind of tried to think about ways that we can work together, our partnership. So this idea of bringing the arts to the mental health side of things as well. And so being able to understand, like Keisha was saying, that freedom and flexibility that comes with working in an area that you really want to work in, and also doing it your way. So just being unconventional, again, Selah being here, being able to bring her to work with me. You know, I like the idea of showing other women, you know, that it's doable, that we can be mothers and we can have other aspirations, and we can also work and do the things we love. But sometimes we get constrained by the work that we do. So even right now, I work full time as a psychologist. So I have to find balance in terms of trying to figure out when I can come home, if I have time at lunch to come home, just, you know, to feed her. I'm nursing, pumping in between sessions. And so those things are things that I feel like can hold us back from being able to do again the things we really want to do. So with Selah, I imagine or envision, again, being able to bring her and talking with her in my lap like I am now and again, and having these conversations and being able to laugh about it and make mistakes. And even, again, as I'm talking, saying, because we want it to be, again, a space where you feel comfortable. You don't have to be, it doesn't have to be rehearsed.
Or so formal.
Right, or so formal. Like, you can be yourself and be who you are. And that's what the other piece of, again, Selah, Mind, Body is about. Mind, Body, and Spirit. It's about understanding kind of you as a whole person. You're a person made up of your emotions and, again, the things that go through your mind, your thoughts, your feelings. You're a person who has, again, a physical health as well as mental health. And even, again, spiritual. Even if you're not a person who goes to church or has a specific religion, this idea of us being spiritual beings, that we exchange energy, we exchange thoughts, we exchange ideas. And so we're all trying to find out our wholeness, who we are, and what things make us the person that we see ourselves as. And so that's kind of another aspect of why this, I think, journey is so important.
Yeah, so we are open tonight to just questions. If you have anything that you'd like us to discuss a little further, again, tonight is really just the introduction and the meet and greet. So we wanted you to get to know us. If you want to know us on a little more personal level or ask us any questions, Feel free to ask us questions. Feel free to see us smile. Yeah, so we are waiting for anyone to answer, or excuse me, to ask any questions. I see people popping on and off. Don't be shy. This is my first time on Facebook Live. But I must say that we actually look pretty good together.
Yeah, so we want this again to be, think about your traditional meet and greet. It's nice that we are a world of technology and there's so many ways to do things. So as opposed to the traditional, you got to leave your house, it's late, it's getting cold, it's dark outside. You have the opportunity to talk with us or speak with us virtually. So we are kind of waiting and getting, like Keisha said, getting ourselves prepared to answer any questions that you might have or even comments. We're looking forward to interacting with you all, and especially as it relates to if you have questions about what we're doing here at Selah.
Yes, and don't be shy. If you're eating food, feel free to eat your food. If you get something stuck in your teeth, no one's judging you because we can't see you. We won't be eating just in case we get something stuck in our teeth, but we are here. We're looking for you, looking for us.
Yes. So while we wait, I guess, we had a few different things that we thought about that we could talk about, that if you didn't have questions right away, that we could talk about as well, about our own journeys as mothers and into motherhood. So mine was much more recent, literally 3 months ago. So Selah is 3 months and 3 days now. So my journey into motherhood, I mean, I guess it starts before, during the pregnancy, but truthfully, I didn't feel that I really knew what the experience was like until I had her, until her birth. So I don't know if you want to share yours or want me to start, or.
So I guess I can start.
Hey, cousin.
So I'll start, and I guess, like Linnea said, or Dr. Richardson, as she put on our meet and greet paper, and I said, so are you going to be called Dr. Richardson or Linnea, because you didn't put that your name was Linnea, just Dr. Richardson. So I often tease her because I am actually proud that I can call her Dr. Richardson and call her my sister first and foremost. So yeah, before I actually brought Zion into this world, I became a mother with holding or having a baby within me. So, having another living thing within myself, which is an amazing thing in itself, an experience, to say the least. When I got pregnant, I actually thought I was sick, and I kept shaking and shivering. I thought I had the flu. And then come to find out, like 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, you're pregnant. I was like, oh, wow, this is great. Okay. This is all good. So having Zion was a little bit of a difficult experience for me, I think, and trying to understand what labor would be like and being a first-time mom, not, knowing what to really expect. It was kind of scary, but not. I think I was a little more nervous than scared, just because I wanted to be able to have him all natural. And I think in trying to have him all natural, sorry, I have someone trying to call me at the same time. But this is more important. So yeah, I was trying to do it all natural. And so I started having contractions like right the day before he was born, and he was actually born on his due date. And I kind of put up there the story of him, my baby, like not looking like anyone else's, because Zion was born full term on his due date at 4 pounds, 9.5 ounces. And so there were questions that were asked of me because, again, my baby was so small and no one knew what was going on with him. And so they were like, oh, he doesn't have any fat on his body, so he was pretty much skin and bones. And then his ear was deformed, or both his ears, but I think it was just maybe him being smashed in my stomach. So I was asked 3 questions that, stick out to me and that I'll always remember, because I could not figure out why the questions were asked to me and what I'd actually done, especially during a time of me just having a baby. So again, postpartum maybe setting in, and then me feeling inadequate or not feeling like I had enough vitamins or whatever it was that I needed to, make sure that the baby was fine. So I was asked the question, did I do drugs? So the answer was no. They asked me, did I smoke anything? And I said no. And then the other question was, did I drink? And I said no. And so just the fact that I felt like those questions maybe came at a time, and I understand that they were trying to figure out what was going on with the baby and why he may have come out so small. But it didn't make me feel good as a first-time mom and trying to figure out what was going on and with my child. And him going to the NICU and having to stay there and me not being able to hold him or see him for 8 hours actually after I had him, because I had to end up having an emergency C-section with him as well. So once his heart rate stopped, of course, everyone started putting their overalls and coveralls and things on, and they kindly told me, Mrs. Metzger, we're going to have to perform an emergency surgery on you. And so they stayed calm, and I remained calm as well, because the one thing that I did know is that since the baby was in, the baby had to come out. And so that was the one thing that I can say that made me feel good about being able to bring my first child into this world, and be okay with knowing that, it was going to be whatever it was going to be. I was okay with how it was, the outcome. So that's kind of where my story is at. And of course it's much more to it, but that's just the introduction of my first child and how I became the first time mom.
So I think for me, I had a pretty, I would say, I guess, easy pregnancy. If I had to compare it to what I've heard from other people, or kind of a lot of the questions that I got about my pregnancy, a lot of people ask, like, you didn't have any morning sickness, or you don't have any like pain, or you're not feeling X, Y, and Z. And so I think what happened for me is I had a really easy pregnancy as far as, like I said, what I could tell. But my labor and delivery was really difficult for me. And so you might have seen the post that I posted about the statistics around Black women and them, hey, April, Black women and their kind of tendency to die in childbirth. So that was something that I had talked about, I guess, briefly, or thought about, but it wasn't something I really dwelled on, because I don't know anyone who's passed away from having a child. And it seems like it doesn't happen, right? In 2018, people don't seem like they would die from childbirth. But again, if you saw that article, you can see the statistics, and Black women are dying more frequently than other women who are giving birth. And so that's something that stands out to me, but also stuck out to me when I was giving birth, because there was some challenges in terms of, I wanted to have my child natural, and I was working on that, and like I hadn't had any medication, and they were trying to see what was going on. So I had gone into labor, but I wasn't dilating, and they kept checking, and every time they would come back, and this would be hours, it would be she had only moved a half a centimeter. And so at one point during the whole ordeal, like, I was in and out of consciousness. Keisha might remember more, because I was in labor more than like over 24 hours in labor. And so I was zoning in and out at different times. But from some of the things that stood out to me were, or significant events that stood out, was one, when they had to give me an internal monitor to see her heart rate, because they couldn't see it well in the ultrasound. And I remember one of the doctors came in after the nurses, and he asked, like, he just looked and he's like, why is there so much blood? And I just remember that vividly, like trying to envision, I couldn't see anything, like, what's going on? Is it is something going on or something wrong? And then she also had her first bowel movement while she was still in the womb, which is, again, another sign that the baby is in distress. And of course, the doctors and nurses were like, oh, it's okay, this happens all the time. But still, for me, I'm like, this is not normal. Like, something is going on. And it felt like they weren't really listening to me when I was trying to request, like, what is going on? Like, just, I'm ready to have her. Can you get her out of me? I remember I said, get her out of me. And it wasn't because, I was in pain or any of those things. It was because I was concerned about her life and eventually my own life. And so I also felt like that they weren't listening initially. And so it was, nothing against them. And I'm sure that sometimes things may be dramatic, or people, again, it might have been my first child, so they weren't sure if I was just nervous, but there was something, again, a feeling inside where I wanted to make sure that she was safe. And so I thought about, again, how many women have been through what I've been through and are asking the doctors, again, can you please do this, or something doesn't feel right, or again, even thinking about Serena Williams and her story, like, I feel like something is wrong, can you please hear my request? So for me, again, it was the most difficult part was not knowing if everything was okay with Selah. And so eventually everything, as you can see, everything turned out fine. But she did have to spend a couple days in the NICU. And I think, like Keisha said, just not being able to spend time with your child for hours. And, the expectation is that your child is going to go with you to your room, and to not have that, it's a difficult experience. So I wanted to, again, this is part of where Selah came in. What happens to those women who do experience, these types of tough pregnancies or tough births, childbirths, or difficult time with, doctors, or not having people that look like them, give them the support that they need, or, not even being able to understand. So that's kind of part of my story.
Yeah. So again, we're just here for support. Not that we are experts. Lania might be more of an expert than I am, but I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I can relate, and I do relate to some of the struggles, especially being a Black woman and feeling like, my voice is not always heard, and especially during the time that I gave birth. So if you have a story and you want to share, or again, just acknowledge that I feel you, sister.
Or you have any questions, or again, thoughts about what we're sharing, or again, that you've been keeping up with our page and you're curious about anything, let us know. And I am an expert. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking, but I'm not joking in terms of I'm not being arrogant. But, I think we have to know who we are. I think, Keisha is an expert in her field. And I wouldn't take that away. And again, in my field, expert, is the ability to do the thing that you were taught to do, and that you spent time and energy and effort into that thing. And, you're kind of putting that field the best of the best. And I think oftentimes we don't see people who look like us in these roles. So this is another piece of Selah, is being able to see people that look like you. Again, in these roles that aren't often, we don't often see people that look like us in these roles.
So again, don't be shy. I know some people may tune in a little later because this is a live video. You can go back and review. So if you have questions later on and you want to still write a comment or leave a comment for us, we definitely will get back to you. We both go on back and forth, checking messages, responding to messages, posting. So if you don't feel comfortable sharing right now or asking a question while we're on live, that's okay. We are here. We are not going anywhere until our time is up. And I don't think that it's up right now. So we will not be on here really long tonight, though. Again, this is the first meeting, the meet and greet. So since we're not going to be on here really long, we are just trying to get things moving. And like I said, just seeing what direction we're going in with your comments, your questions, along with our introduction that we gave Lania more so than myself. But again, I think as time go on and as we do more Facebook Live videos, we'll get to talk more. You'll get to know me a little better. Again, get to know Lania a little better. Oh.
All right, we have a comment from April. Thank you for sharing, April.
Thanks, April.
All right, so April says, I also had a near-death birthing experience for myself and my child. What are your thoughts about what can be done to make the birthing process more safe and equitable for women of color? That's a awesome comment and question. And thank you for being vulnerable. That was the other word that was in my head. I have mommy brain, I forget things sometimes. But vulnerability, that was one thing I wanted to express, that, you know, sometimes we have to be vulnerable in these spaces and these stages. So first of all, I'm sorry that you went through that experience. I know for me, it was, like I said, really difficult. So I feel like it took me some time. It took me a couple of weeks, you know, and I think now that I'm back at work and there's other things that distract me from the experience, I don't think about it as much, but just kind of sometimes when I reflect and go back to, again, it's only been a couple of months, it really stands out to me. So your question of what are your thoughts about what can be done to make the birthing process more safe and equitable, I think we have to have people that look like us. I was telling my sister that the anesthesiologist was a Black male, and everyone else was white. I think that all of the nurses, I think there was one other Black midwife, but everyone else, that from the time I went in, so I went in at Friday, like at 10 a.m. and I was there until Saturday. I gave birth Saturday right before midnight or something. And so everyone that I interact with was white. They were mostly male. Again, some of the midwives were all women. And my anesthesiologist, I didn't even share, I had to have a C-section. But the anesthesiologist was a Black man. And so it was just, to me, it was like so comforting to have someone, again, who looked like me. And when I was being put under, I was talking to him. He was preparing me for it. And so I ended up, you know, sharing with him that I was concerned or I was scared or something. He's like, it's gonna be okay. Like, I got you. And so this reassuring, like, the way that he interacted with me was like, wow, like he has my back. Like he's making sure that I'm okay. And he assured me, like, when the doctor was cutting, he was explaining, like, okay, he's cutting down. Okay, he's getting ready to take her out. Okay, I see her head. And I don't think that the other people in that moment understood how important that was. And they didn't seem to give me that same type of care and connection that I felt like we had. And he ended up saying, like, he has a daughter. And so it was just like all these things, like, if he hadn't been in the room, I don't know how I would have felt. I don't imagine another anesthesiologist who wasn't Black trying to comfort me in that way, you know, and seeing me again as a human, because that's sometimes what we miss when we're dealing with people who are of other cultures or races. Sometimes they miss our humanity. And so I felt like he saw me as a human. And so my thought would be, can we look for hospitals, or, you know, if you're giving birth at a hospital or any other place that you're going that have people of color or people, again, that understand cultural sensitivity.
And we know that should not always be the case. Like, you shouldn't have to feel like you have to find someone who looks like you to make sure that your life is not in danger, or that someone is going to look at you as being human and take as much care with you as they would with someone of a different background or ethnicity. But we know that, again, such as, again, with Lania's experience, or even with my experience, having that person of color, again, that looks like you and had the compassion and understanding that, you know, I know you're scared. I know this is, you know, different for you. You're a first-time mother. I see you because, again, you look like me. I look like you. So, again, know that you are okay. You are in good hands, even when it seems like you know, we may be scared or feeling like we're alone or by ourselves.
Yeah. So I think for me, it's definitely the preparation. So can you find, again, a doula or another support person who can speak up for you? This Keisha actually was in the room, and I think a couple times they were asking me questions, and she had to kind of be my voice because I was, you know, like I said, in and out of consciousness and throughout. So there were a couple times where I was nervous, and I think I was like, they were saying that I needed oxygen, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. They thought that it was like my physical pain, and I was like, no, like I'm not in physical pain. I'm anxious, like I'm nervous, like I'm scared. And so just even me being able to voice that, like I was able to do that for myself, but I was imagining, you know, the 18-year-old mom or the young mom or the mom without a support system who's trying to tell the doctors, no, I'm not physically ill. I'm having anxiety, or I'm nervous about my baby's well-being. So that came up too.
And I think another part that I'm just remembering too, is even with Lania, I think when, you know, she was having the baby looking young, so they may have thought that she was a teenager or something. I had to pull out the doctor card. I had to tell one of the nurses because she kept getting smart when Lania was asking questions and trying to, you know, really understand what was actually going on. And the nurse was talking to her, maybe a little belittling and, you know, just not really responding to her in a respectful manner. I said, well, this is my sister, Dr. Lania Hawkins, at the time, and she since has gotten her name changed to Richardson. But I had to tell her that, you know, she has a PhD as well. So just because you're wearing a uniform right now and maybe this is your line or area of specialty, it doesn't mean that you get to treat people any way you want. It doesn't mean that you can say what you want or, again, talk to people in a way that's less than human. So
right. Yeah, I remember that. Yes, that nurse too. And I actually ended up, I remember there was, like you said, there was a point where I ended up telling her, like, you don't have to sugarcoat it for me or lie or try to make me feel better. Like, I really want to know what's going on with my baby. Because again, you know, and the doctors they huddle around and then they whisper behind your back and they don't tell you what's going on, and they just think that it's better to keep you out of the loop. So I was like, just tell me so I can, again, mentally prepare for what is going on with this little baby. So they didn't.
Saw your mama.
So the nurse at the time when I was trying to ask her, she was like, I'm not lying to you, ma'am. And so it was a point where I felt like she was not being honest, again, for whatever reason that she thought I maybe couldn't handle it. And so that goes back to, again, being able to have your advocates or people that can speak for you. Hey, Crystal, we see you. Hey, Aunt Mona. Yes, thank you. I'm trying to, Crystal. Selah we had to give Selah a break. She was done with the camera, y'all.
And yes, Lania just said y'all.
Say hi to Aunt Mona.
Hi, Aunt Mona. Hey, Crystal. Yes, I did see you, but we were in the middle of actually talking, so you better say that. So what part will you better say? That we see you, or what we're talking about here? The importance of having people that look like us and representing us in a space that we feel comfortable and feel like our voices are being heard and that we matter. Black Lives Matter, y'all.
Now it's so quiet because Selah's gone. This is actually a good time to
segue into little inspirations of hope. So if you saw our post a couple weeks ago, we were at the Black pop-up shop at OpenWorks here in Baltimore. And so with that, the proceeds from Little Inspirations of Hope, they actually went to the business. So I didn't keep any of the proceeds for myself, because we definitely believe in what we're doing and believe the importance of it. So Little Inspirations of Hope started maybe in 2008, probably so about 10 years ago, when I was in grad school, and I wanted to do something that would allow, it was in a class where I was the only Black student. So I wouldn't say only Black student, I'll say African American. because we also had a Black student from Jamaica and then one from Madagascar, but everyone else was white. And so I was trying to figure out how we all related to each other. I was working in community, and working in community, people thought that just because I was a Black person that I actually fit in the community. So while it did give me one step up from maybe a white person coming in that community, I still did not necessarily, I wasn't necessarily accepted just because I was Black. I had to do the same thing as other people would do when they go in community, which is talk to people, get to know the community that I was working in, be around the people, work with them. And so in doing that, what I realized is that it didn't matter where I was from, it didn't matter what language I spoke, but a smile was a smile anywhere in the world. A wave to say hi was a wave anywhere in the world, you know, when you're saying hi. And so I decided to take that and to really understand just being a human. So, and being human and talking about our commonalities. And again, our commonalities are the things that, you know, make us relate to each other. And so these little inspirations of hope that I started doing were just little people. And so I have a little inspiration of hope right here. And so again, it really is just this small. And so my little inspiration of hope then allows people to look at it and remind themselves, to have a self-reflection of, you know, the beauty that they may see, what they might want to be able to do in life, to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, to know that they can smile, to know that they can be who they're supposed to be. And so when you look at your little inspiration of hope, it's supposed to remind you that, don't show my little belly there. It's supposed to remind you that we are all spirits. I'm going to read from what I actually have on my business cards and on the Etsy site. So little inspirations of hope reminds us that we're all spirits having a human experience. And this allows us to relate to each other because of our commonalities. The intent of each wire figure is to give a positive emotional experience, because with energy, when we have these experiences or we put it out in the atmosphere, we know that it's neither created nor destroyed, but it's just merely transferred. And so we want to transfer positive energy in our space, around our place, wherever we go. We definitely remain humble in everything that we do. So we do not think that, we're not taking this lightly, that we have an opportunity to be able to share our story on this platform. Hey, Laura, I see you. And so, yes, and I'm thankful that people are joining in that, may not look like me, but again, that's listening to our stories and that hear us and that also can relate because of some of the things that, they've gone through as well. So again, we want to thank you for your support. And going back to my little inspiration of hope, because I got a little sidetracked after reading this and then talking about positivity. But again, like I said, transferring that energy and transferring that positive energy. So it gives us a positive emotional experience that uplifts one's spirit, relying on a sense of happiness and energy. Through this experience, I hope that you smile every time you see your little inspiration of hope. And so we all need a little inspiration of hope to get us going, to keep us going on the right path. And a lot of times when Linnea was places that she went and she left, she always supported me in buying little inspirations of hope for people that she wanted to give a little inspiration to, and left it as a gift behind. And so a lot of the emotion that came from it was, you thought this much of me, or, giving her hugs and these little things, they won't forget her by or because, and they can always look at that and then be reminded of the spirit that they had encountered with, having been in Linnea's presence. And so again, that's what, these little inspirations of hope are supposed to do. It's not just that I want to, be a millionaire and be rich, but again, it's supposed to leave a little piece of something with you. If it's not myself, or again, the person that you are actually giving it to, we are all connected and we're leaving a piece of ourselves with each other. So there you have it. That's what our little inspiration of hope is. And so
with that, we earlier in the week or last week when we were posting about the meet and greet, we said that we were going to give a little inspiration of hope as a prize for one of our participants, one of you all who joined us. And I am excited to say who our winner is. We didn't say how you would win or how you could win, but April, you are the lucky winner of a little inspiration of hope for your question. We decided that we were going to give one away to anyone or the first person who asked a question kind of related to what we were sharing about. So thanks for asking the question again, April. Again, I really appreciated you sharing that and being vulnerable with us. Hey, Tony, thanks for your comment. So in general, kind of, I think we are coming to a good space to begin to kind of wind down and wrap up. The goal here and at Selah Mind, Body, Spirit is really to bring women back to a place where they feel connected to their mind, body, and spirit. Because I believe, and Keisha along with me, in that healing, that's the greatest form of healing, when you can really be connected with who you are, again, mind, body, and spirit, and see your wholeness and see yourself whole. A lot of people, when they're dealing with, mental illness or difficulties or challenges, they feel broken. People tend to say, like, I feel like I'm broken or something is wrong with me. And so with Selah, the idea is, again, to give you a chance to pause and reflect and think about, who am I? What are the things that make me who I am? Sometimes, again, even now for me, when you become a mother, you feel like sometimes maybe you lose a part of yourself, or when you're a spouse, or when you're, operating in the different roles that we operate in, sometimes we feel like we don't know who we are. And so the goal here is to help women to come back to this place of wholeness and wellness, so that you can be reconnected with your mind, again, body, and spirit. And we focus again on addressing women's issues related to pregnancy, difficulties with pregnancy or birth, labor, delivery, postpartum. And so we have a few different ways that we are trying to bring you back to wholeness. So one aspect is our groups. So those groups right now, the groups will focus on, again, kind of the postpartum aspect of things. It doesn't have to be postpartum depression, like a diagnosis, but just what happens after you have a baby. Another aspect of that would be for women who've experienced loss. So, we know that women experience loss, again, in childbirth, during pregnancy, trying to get pregnant, again, the reproductive issues or fertility issues. We also have more of, again, the ways that you can work more creatively would be kind of on the artistic side. I'll let Keisha talk a little bit more about that, but with the groups, again, they're related to kind of coming back to a sense of wholeness by addressing the challenges that you had. And then also kind of one-on-one consultation. So not really therapy, but really more connectedness and coaching in a way in which you can, again, find your way back to the place that you maybe feel lost in. And then also kind of the mindfulness, like meditation, learning how to be grounded, recentered. That's one of the classes. And with your creative art piece.
Right. So yeah, and I also want to say that it doesn't matter, like, if you are a new mom or an old mom, it doesn't matter, because your experiences matter, and your wisdom also, and what you've experienced or went through, or maybe it's been a time that you hadn't had a chance to actually talk about or even think about your own birthing experience and being a mother. And maybe you were young and it was taboo for you to have a child so young, and no one told you that it was a good thing that you were bringing a life into this world. And then you can see, the manifestation of that. Our mother had us not Lania so much as me and my two brothers, when she was a teenager. And so, a lot of times she say that she's proud of what we're doing and, how far we've come. And then I didn't have a child until later on in life, but in that, I used my creativity to all throughout having the baby, and then like before, and then now still having my children, I'm able to show them, like, you know, it's okay to be who you're called to be. And so with me being an artist, we've created videos of how we did a gender reveal with a stop motion animation. We did a belly cast, and so the belly cast that I did for my first child, Zion, his was called Road to Recovery, because of him being in the NICU. And so a lot of the pictures that are on there, I did a picture collage, and a lot of the pictures that are on there were his first days being born, and then also going into or coming home from the hospital. And then Jordan's, again, which I'll share his story a little later, I did a picture collage on a body cast of him as well, bust cast of him as well, and his was called Planned Delivery. So through art, you're able to express yourself in a creative way, and having classes, not necessarily to learn to be an artist, but just use it as an outlet. And then also art can also be considered a form of therapy. So in that, just having a way to be able to share with other women or other, you know, people in your life that this was your experience, this is what you went through, this is how you got through it, but then also sharing a piece of it in a creative and artsy way.
Right. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them on this video or just in our page in general as you think about things. You know, if this sparks any thoughts about your own experiences, again, being a mother. So yeah, we hope to maybe do something like this again. But in general, we just wanted to introduce ourselves and give you an idea of, again, who we are and what Selah is about, since we've been more so kind of introducing ourselves or talking online. We wanted to, again, do this live video to give you a chance to kind of be a little more interactive.
And also to see who we were.
Yes.
So if you would like to share Selah, please feel free to share this page. Do not be shy, and, you know, keep all the information to yourself. Keep all the good information that we are putting out to yourself. Please feel free to share with your friends and family. And again, anyone, thank you, Mona, for again, just, yeah, to anyone who may be interested, or again, you think that this could be of some benefit or help someone in some way.
And thank you to April. So we will send you a message to try to coordinate how you can get your little inspiration of hope. And
I will bring it to you personally, April, because, you know, I see you almost every week.
Well, that works too. All right, so that's it. We're signing off. Thanks for joining. Good night.